afternoon, everyone, and welcome to this live interactive telephone town hall with Pennsylvania Labor and Industry Secretary Jerry Oleksiak and UC Benefits Policy Director Susan Dickinson. My name is Dirk, and I'll be the moderator today. The goal of this event is to provide you with helpful information and to answer your questions, as well as update you on Pennsylvania's unemployment benefits programs during the COVID-19 pandemic. As I mentioned, this is an interactive forum, and we would love to hear from you. We'll be taking as many questions from participants as we possibly can live during this call. If you have a question, you can press *3 on your telephone keypad at any time, and you'll be placed in line to speak with a member of our staff. They'll take down your name and where you're calling from. Then the next time you hear your name, you will be live on the call and able to ask your question directly. If you're streaming the event on our website, simply type your name and question below the streaming player. Again, to ask a question live on this call, please press *3 on your telephone keypad. We receive a lot of questions on our live events, so if we're not able to get to your question, please send an email to uchelp@pa.gov. We'll now turn to Secretary Oleksiak to get this call started with his opening remarks. Secretary, the floor is yours, sir.
Thank you, Dirk, and thank you to all who have joined us today. This is the 23rd town hall that we've done, and we're happy to be able to do them. Some update on our numbers. Since March 15th, we have paid just shy of $30 billion in unemployment benefits. That's $29.8 billion with a B in total benefits. About $5.5 billion of that is from our traditional unemployment compensation program, and the rest is from the Federal CARES Act and the employment extended benefits, the extended benefits that both Pennsylvania and the federal government provided. 97% of our eligible claimants who filed for regular unemployment compensation between March 15th and September 19th were either paid or deemed not eligible for benefits, and the remaining 3% are going through various processes of verification and adjudication. Our service center staffing levels have more than doubled, significantly more than doubled. We've gone from 775 employees to just over 2,000 employees since March 15th, and they have worked a total of 370,000 plus overtime hours. And we appreciate the efforts of our staff that have joined us and have been with us. And since that time, they have responded to over 3 million questions and outreaches from our claimants. So 1.3 million emails, about 678,000 phone calls, about 175,000 live chats, and about 973,000 contacts with our virtual assistant. Again, even with the improvements in those numbers and the increase in staff, we know that there are still people waiting and still people having trouble getting through. That's getting better every day, but as I say every week, if you're on the wrong side of these numbers, it doesn't help you any. And we want to do all we can to make sure that you get the benefits that you deserve as quickly as we can get them to you. One of the things that has become an ongoing and continuing problem is fraud. So I want to take a few minutes to talk to you about the continued issue that we are facing of unemployment benefits fraud that's occurring not just in Pennsylvania, but in states all across the country. The federal program that's experienced the most attempted fraudulent activity is the Pandemic Unemployment Assistance, the PUA program, which was created to provide benefits to people who are traditionally not eligible for regular UC, people who are self-employed, who are gig workers, and other people who get 1099s, people who are not in a traditional employment situation. Pennsylvania and other states are continuing to experience problems with these claims being filed by scammers who have used stolen identities and obtained various personal information through data breaches that occurred outside of the government. This is not something that happened in labor and industry. This is something that people who have broken into, hacked into various systems and have stolen identities are using now to access claims. We recently used a new identity verification process that all new PUA claimants must complete through ID.me. It's working very well, and many new PUA claimants have already received directions in their dashboards on how to complete this verification. We're also aware that some links to ID.me are being shared, and while we certainly understand claimants are eager to get their identities verified so they can begin to receive the payments they're waiting for, we urge you to be cautious when using one of these links. External links can easily be spoofed or faked by scammers posing as ID.me or posing as labor and industry. I know it can be difficult to wait, but the safest option clearly is to wait for official notification through your dashboard. That is the safest and securest way. We're also working with ID.me to steadily increase the number of verifications that we're making daily. So again, we can quickly get all the claimants who are waiting through the process. It is particularly frustrating for all of you, I know, and it's frustrating for all of us at L&I that these bad guys are stealing real benefits that you, as legitimately unemployed people, need. And we want to make sure that we continually go after this and do all we can to free up those dollars. Recently, we've become aware of fraudsters who are now posing as labor and industry employees on phone calls to Pennsylvanians, and they're asking for their personal information like Social Security numbers, usernames, and passwords. We've also seen these bad guys making attempts over social medias and through text and email. And just yesterday, we became aware of spoof emails disguised as coming from the U.S. Department of Labor. So, again, be very cautious. These emails are urging recipients to follow a link to unlock their PUA account, but that link is just a way for the fraudsters to gather your username and password. So these are just the latest attempts by fraudsters to steal personal information from Pennsylvanians. And, you know, I've gotten phone calls, and I know many of you have. These people can be very charming, empathetic. They sound like they want to help, but they're really just looking to take advantage of you and the system. We continue to work with state and federal law enforcement partners to prevent this fraud and these scams, to catch these folks, and we're asking you to be on very high alert, to always guard your personal information and remain vigilant. Labor and industry will never ask you for your username or your password, and we're urging that you not give that information to anyone. Fraudsters who have successfully obtained victims' usernames and passwords have used them to redirect unemployment benefits into their own checking accounts or their own banking systems. So, again, guard that information carefully. We won't ask you for your full Social Security number. We don't offer assistance to claimants over social media. Let me be clear about that. We do not offer assistance to claimants over social media because of the inability to guarantee security and confidentiality. So any messages that you get over social media that appear to be from labor and industry are most likely fraudulent and should be ignored. We continue to urge you to go to uc.pa.gov/fraud to learn the list of the warning signs, to learn details on how to report fraud, and instructions on how to return any fraudulent benefits you receive. One last reminder, other than the fraud, remind you about the Lost Wages Assistance Program. There are still federal dollars left in that. If you are eligible for that $300 weekly benefit, please go to uc.pa.gov to go through the application process. This is the extra $300 that's available for the weeks August 1st, August 8th, August 15th, August 22nd, August 29th, and September 5th. We still have, as I said, some of the FEMA, Federal Emergency Management Agency, grant money available. And if you are eligible, if you have lost work due to the virus, please apply and see if those dollars are for you. With that, Dirk, we're ready to take questions. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Secretary. And as a reminder to everyone on the call, if you have a question you want to ask, please press *3 on your telephone keypad to enter the question queue. If you're streaming this call on our website, type your name and question below the streaming player. And we're going to the phone right now. We've got Joe joining us. Joe, welcome to the call. Go ahead with your question, please.
Oh, hi. The question's for Susan. It's a two-part question. First, just yes or no. Do minors have to, this is specifically pertaining to PUA, do minors have to go through the ID.me process?
It's possible, yes, but it may actually be faster if they contact us directly to review their documents if they want to upload them.
Okay. Then the second part is I filed a claim back in the middle of September, and it was going through, and I was filing my weekly certificates, and then the IP issue came up with the investigation special case project, which then after that did not allow me to file the weekly certificates. I have not received an ID.me email or anything on the dashboard, and I'm just trying to find out what else I could do. All documents have been uploaded. The agents told me that everything is fine, and they sent it to an examiner. I told them that from previous calls that I've been on with listening to you, that you said that the agents are able to, process it and backdate the weeks. They're telling me that they aren't able to, and that they forward it to an examiner. And I've kind of been in limbo now for the last 3 weeks without being able to file certificates, and I haven't received any type of, emails or anything saying that they needed something else or there's a problem. I received the debit card, I received the eligibility letter, and everything like that. It's kind of just in limbo now. So I was wondering if there's something else that I could do in the meantime to try to figure out how to resolve the issue.
Yeah, that does sound strange if you're not able to file the weekly certifications, because usually that part is, that part's the key, of course, to getting everything else, any type of benefit paid. So, without being able to file the weekly certifications, and with this particular system, it's very different from our regular system, where if you need an older week filed, it actually does have to be through a staff member. Like our regular unemployment system, if we can see that someone, they email us, we see that they need to go back 10 weeks, we can go in the system, make those 10 weeks available for the person to file, and then they can do it on their own. With PUA, it's not like that. You have to have a person do it because there's no function in there for us to be able to let people do back weeks. So for that part alone, you'll definitely need to speak with someone, because they're going to have to ask you the individual, the individual questions for each week that goes by, for each week that you're looking to file for in the past. So when it comes to, if there's someone working on your case, an examiner, they will probably be the one to do that. Depending on what the issue is on your claim. Once they've sorted that out, they can take those back weeks. When it comes to backdating, the PUA program is different from the regular unemployment program in that you can backdate back to when you were first unemployed due to the pandemic with no question. When it comes to regular unemployment, we do have to make sure someone had a good reason as to why they did not file their week timely, that it was something that they couldn't control, and then we have to decide whether or not they actually get benefits. But the PUA program is much different. It says that the states must backdate someone to when they were first unemployed due to a COVID reason. So that part of it shouldn't be an issue, which is why I'm wondering if maybe there's a secondary issue. There might not actually be a lingering identity issue. You can see that from your profile, so I guess that would tell you. But in any case, the identity issue can be resolved either way. The ID.me link, which you would be getting it soon if you haven't gotten it already, and there's an issue Keep in mind, not everybody gets it. If there's no identity issue, we don't send it to someone because there would be no point in doing that. So if there is an identity issue with you, you'll be getting the link soon, and then you can follow it through that way. But if you've already uploaded everything to your dashboard, then when the examiner handling your case is looking at it, they will take care of all the issues. We try to keep all the issues with one staff member. So if you have 3 or 4 different things going on your claim, like backdating, like identity issue, like some other issue, it'll all be with the same staff member. Otherwise, it gets confusing if different staff members are all working on your claim for different reasons. So that is likely what's happening, is everything does have to funnel to one person. In which case, you can actually get through and ask for a status or see what's going on. I know you said you already asked, and they said, "Oh, it's going to an examiner." But it doesn't hurt to just check again and make sure, especially if it is something, everything you're telling me sounds very standard and basic, so it shouldn't take long. There's, of course, the PUA phone number. You can call them and try to get information that way. Or if you are online, you can use chat, and then all of our staff can see through chat. All the staff who handle chat, they can see into the PUA system, and they'll be able to give you that further information. So yeah, I'm sorry, that was very general. It is hard to say, without looking at your claim, but it doesn't sound like anything. I mean, unless there's some other eligibility issue, it doesn't sound like anything is too complicated. So you really do just need to get those back weeks taken care of, and that should set you on your way.
Thank you very much, Susan. Moving on, we've got Donna joining us on the line. Welcome to the call, Donna. Go ahead with your question, please.
Hi. Actually, it's another 2-part question. Recently noticed I am on PUA. The available or for partial weeks that were filed and we received a partial payment for, it's now showing that a full payment was made, so the adjustment went. So I'm assuming now that PUA is going by the number of weeks, not the available amount for 39 weeks. And also in the CARES Act, it mentioned if the state's in the high unemployment period, that PUA gets an additional 7 weeks. And I noticed other states have added the 7 weeks onto the 39 weeks. Is PUA or Pennsylvania going to do that also?
Okay, so for the first part with the number of weeks on your claim now, so the PUA balance would still be for 39 weeks. The way that weeks are counted, it's really interesting. So when we set up a claim, or the system, I should say, sets up a claim, the number of weeks, of course, in the law is 39. And then the system it takes 39 and multiplies it by whatever your weekly benefit amount is for you specifically. So let's say, it's $300 a week. So it'll multiply 39 by your weekly benefit amount, and then that's the balance you have. And then at that point, it just deducts from the balance, so it's not exactly counting specific calendar weeks, because a lot of people do work part-time. And so that means that in terms of calendar weeks, they're going to be claiming a lot longer than 39, possibly. They're not going to have a higher balance than anyone else to draw down from. It'll still be the same 39 times whatever it is. So they'll just be able to, they'll draw it out more slowly. They'll have that on top of their income, and then be able to draw it out more. So, you were mentioning how it showed a partial payment and then a full payment. If you had a monetary issue that was resolved, that could be why that status changed. Otherwise, it's kind of hard to tell without seeing it. But generally, that's what happens. If there's any type of adjustment, or there's a determination made or something, and there's weeks that are supposed to be paid, it all drives off of that total balance. That's actually what we call the maximum benefit amount. So 39 times whatever the weekly rate is. is the maximum benefit amount, and then that's the maximum amount that anyone will get on a particular claim. So that's kind of how that works. Now, when it comes to high unemployment period, that's actually on extended benefits and not PUA. The extended benefits program, which is the one that comes after PEUC. So if we're looking down the hierarchy, it's UC, PEUC, EB, and then PUA. So we call it HUP, just to throw another acronym out there, HUP, high unemployment period. It's not actually in effect right now. It probably would be based on the unemployment rate, but it was temporarily signed into law like 10 years ago during the Great Recession, and it sunset with some piece of law that sunset at the time. So right now, extended benefits is limited to 13 weeks. It doesn't have those additional 7 weeks at the end like it did 10 years ago. We had a total of 20. It was a 13-week tier 1 and then a 7-week tier 2. So right now, the rate is certainly high enough. We have a high insured unemployment rate in Pennsylvania, but we don't have it currently active in the law. Like if you look in our law, it's there, but it expired. It had an expiration date many years ago, I think back in 2013 or so. So anyway, so there's no high unemployment period right now in Pennsylvania, simply because of that. It's not really in our law. So PUA doesn't have specifically any type of extension or anything happening right now. That's all at the federal level. So we're waiting to see what happens at the federal level, if there's going to be any CARES Act extension. So far, there hasn't been any news.
All right, as another reminder, if you've got a question that you would like to ask, please press star 3 on your telephone keypad to enter the question queue. Again, if you're listening to this call on your telephone, all you need to do is press star 3 to ask a question. If you're streaming this event on our website, just type your name and question below the streaming player. Moving on, we've got Elisa on the line with us. Elisa, welcome to the call. Go ahead with your question.
Yes, I was wondering if you could tell me, we've been waiting since August for the Adjudication Department to do something with our claim, and we still haven't heard anything. Every time we call, they tell us, it's in the Adjudication Department, just be patient. We're going on 2.5 months with no resolution. And I also wanted to know, how many employers do you have for examiners and in the Adjudication Department to help with these open 97% claims?
Hi, Lisa. So we have about 2,000 total, and that's everyone. That is the contractors that we have. That's the other departments that we have helping us out. Those are our retirees who have come back to help. Plus, there are regular staff that includes the examiners and interviewers and some supervisors and things like that. So what we did, what we started it wasn't last week, it was the week before. Ernst & Young is a firm that offers to help us do fact-finding. Whenever there's an adjudication issue, before a decision can be made, of course, the examiner has to do the fact-finding, and this is always the long part of the process, going back and forth between the parties, asking questions. As questions are answered, it might raise more questions. So the fact-finding is always the I don't want to say trickiest part, but it's the most time-consuming part. So we started using Ernst & Young. We brought them on board 2 weeks ago and trained them for a week. And then last week they actually started reaching out and doing the fact-finding. They started, getting their feet wet. So this is the 3rd week that they're on board, and they've already started on a couple thousand of them. They've got them. I'm not quite sure exactly how many employees that we have of theirs. I know it was increasing over time, but anyway, they're doing the upfront portion, so that if you think of it like an assembly line, they're doing the legwork to gather all the information, and then they're going to simply be able to hand it over to our examiners, who can then just review the information and make the determination right away. So if you look at it that way, like it's a division of labor kind of a thing, that's what we anticipate will make it go a lot faster. Now, of course, if the examiner looks at it and there's a critical piece that they feel they need, they're going to have to reach back out to you. But the whole reason we're using Ernst & Young is because they have unemployment experience, which is key. If we were just using, warm bodies, we would have a lot of errors, and, it probably wouldn't be very helpful in the long run. So these are individuals who there's, like a lot of accountants, a lot of people who've dealt with unemployment from the customer side as an employer or as a representative of an employer. So they're familiar with the questions we ask and why they're asked. So now we're using those individuals to be able to get through our backlog of all of the issues that need to be gone through. So they're starting with, the regular UC, PEUC, all the regular programs first, and they're going to just be able to gather up the information for us and be able to, be able to just give it to us so we can just look at it in a few minutes and just make a decision. We also did just internally, we promoted 30 more of our interviewers to examiners. Those are the two key individuals that, any of you speak with when you call the service center. The interviewers are the ones who take your claim. They're like our first line. They take your claim questions. They're usually the ones, if you call in, you'll be getting an interviewer. If you just call our general line, that's who answers the phone. The examiners are the ones who make decisions on claims. So if ever you get a phone message from one of our examiners saying that they have more questions for you and you need to call them back at this number at this extension, those are the examiners who are going through and actually making decisions on people's claims and issuing determinations. So right now with Ernst & Young helping us, this will help get everything through the process a lot faster. We were hoping we could get them on a little bit earlier, but of course there was stuff that had to happen first on a legal basis. So they're with us now, and we expect them to be going through pretty fast. Already they're off to a good start, and we'll be able to get them through. We do have a couple hundred examiners. Right now it's about 250. Like I said, we promoted 30 more, so it's closer to 300 actual examiners of our own. And I just had someone send me the Ernst & Young people. There's 100 of those, and there's 60 more coming in November. So that's a lot of good help to be able to gather that information for us so that we can just make the final decision, issue the determination, and kind of go through those pretty quickly so we can get those out.
So segueing now to some online questions. The first one was submitted by Susan, who says, when I call the voice bot and it answers my questions, can it transfer me to a live agent if I need additional help?
So the answer is yes, as long as you are using it during the hours when we have the chat staff on the phone. The chat bot is available 24/7. So, if you're in there at 2 o'clock in the morning, you're not going to reach us. But our hours where we do have staff manning the chat is from 7 a.m. until 6 p.m. Monday through Friday, except for holidays, of course. And so when you are using the chatbot, the chatbot, Paula, we call her, has actually been very helpful in answering general questions for individuals so that they don't need staff, and then the staff can focus on those of you who are calling for specific claim reasons. So we've actually, the chat capability has really improved with this, because now the staff on the back end are able to spend more time and able to, it's always better to help give a little extra information, spend a little more time answering questions so that you don't have to call us back or chat with us again. We want to be able to take care of it, the first time. So that's been really helpful. And we improve Paula as time goes on. So as people ask questions, and, she asked for feedback as well. And if things aren't answered, you say it didn't answer your question, et cetera, we use all that data to try to make her better, because we want to be able to have her take care of as much information as possible so that you're not having to wait for a human. And then the humans can handle the more complicated things. Staff, actual live staff, can be the ones that look in claims and see what's happening with claims, or put together if you have like a request for backdating or something, they can take care of that. Paula has been very helpful, and we try to improve her as time goes on.
All right, our next online question. I just exhausted my UC, PEUC, and EB. How do I know if I'm eligible for PUA?
So there are multiple considerations. If you've gone through all the programs and you're not sure whether or not, you should be eligible for PUA, there's different factors. And of course, one of them to keep in mind, the one that we talk about the most, is if you had received any weeks of regular UC or extended benefits. And I'm not talking about PEUC. There's 3 different programs at issue, so forget PEUC. Just look at regular unemployment and extended benefits. You have to subtract any of the weeks that you were paid regular UC or extended benefits from 39, which is the maximum amount of PUA weeks that you would have. And this is just part of the law. It's just part of the law that if you've already received weeks of unemployment in the disaster period, then disaster unemployment isn't going to double cover those weeks. You can only have, certain weeks, the ones that haven't been paid already on other programs. So it's not an automatic qualification. If you can qualify for another program, like let's say you've reached the end of extended benefits and you've also reached the end of your original unemployment benefit year, you really do need to apply for regular unemployment first just to see if you qualify, if you can re-qualify. If you can't re-qualify, then you're welcome to move on to the rest of the pool qualifications. But if you can re-qualify, you really should be on regular UC as opposed to any other program as long as you can qualify for it. So PUA is very specific to the pandemic. It's very specific to being affected by a COVID-related reason, and that's why you're not working. So there is information on our website, how do I know if I'm eligible for PUA? There's an infographic that explains who's not eligible for PUA. It's really for individuals who are attached to the workforce in some way. Maybe you hadn't worked in a while, but you had a definite job offer and were about to start work. And you had a date and you were ready to go, and then the pandemic hit and they canceled it. Or, you were self-employed or a gig worker, and the pandemic specifically prevents you from being able to work. Those are the sorts of individuals who would be eligible for PUA. So, there's all of this information is on our website. We do have, our website is www.uc.pa.gov. And if you then put the extension /PUA, that'll take you right to our PUA page. And it has a list there of the different ways, the different considerations when qualifying for PUA or thinking if you qualify for PUA. Also keep in mind that the last payable week of the program is the week ending December 26th. So even though you may, use 39 weeks minus whatever weeks you received on the other programs, you're only going to receive payments through the week ending December 26th. I may have said 29th before, December 26th. And you won't be able to receive payment for any claim weeks after that. So December 26th will be the cutoff for everyone. So, I recommend just going to our website, reviewing that information. If you do feel like you qualify, then you can proceed with filing a PUA claim.
So Jay writes, I just got my determination letter that made me eligible for UC. Will I still get my LWA payments?
So Jay, yes, it's possible as long as you had done two things. First of all, the LWA program was very specifically for the weeks ending August 1st through September 5th. So those are, it's just a time period of 6 weeks. And, as long as you filed for your regular benefits for those weeks, that will be when you get, the weeks that you get paid for. You said you got your determination, you're eligible, so that's good. So if you receive payments for those specific 6 weeks, then the LWA payment will follow after that. If you apply for your LWA, there's a certification you have to do. So let me talk about that for a second. So you have been filing for your regular claim, and you do that by going to our website. You go to file your biweekly claim, and then you have to log in, and then you're usually presented with your weeks to file. So what you would do is the same exact thing, only after you log in, there's a button there that says Apply for LWA. It's a blue button. You just want to click the Applied for LWA blue button. And it's just going to ask you 2 questions. It's going to ask you, if you're unemployed due to COVID, and it's also going to ask you if you want to receive this benefit. So if you say yes to both things, then the payment will be made generally the week after your underlying payments have been made. You had mentioned that you have an eligible determination, so possibly you've already been paid for your underlying benefits for the weeks 8/1 through 9/5. And if so, then you can just go into file your weekly certification now, answer the questions, and once you save that and those are submitted, then those $300 payments will come like probably the midweek after the week when you fill in that application. So give it like 10 days or so. And that's generally how the timing works out. So good luck if you just go in there. It's a real easy 2 questions to answer. You don't even have to answer them for every individual week. It's just a blanket for all of the weeks. Of course, you won't be paid the benefit for any weeks that you didn't have an underlying benefit. So let's say that you only opened your claim at the end of August. Of course, you won't be paid back through August 1st. You're only going to be paid for when your claim is effective. So unless, of course, you want backdating, and then that's a whole other topic. So for anyone, actually, and I'll throw in there for anyone listening who's on PUA, you don't have to apply. You just have to file your regular claims, and as soon as we release payment, if we're holding payments for you still because maybe it's an identity issue or some other issue we're looking into, then we will be releasing the LWA payments to you after we make the underlying payment. So you will have those coming to you as well.
All right, we're going to head back to the phones for some live calls. But first, another reminder, if you have a question you would like to ask, please press *3 on your telephone keypad. Again, *3 if you have a question. Annalise is next on the line with us. Welcome to the call, Annalise. What is your question?
Hi, I'm on the PUA program, and I have been a resident of Pennsylvania for the last 2 years, and my case has been flagged for fraud or identity verification, and so it's been on hold for 15 weeks, and I've now moved to Kansas City, Missouri. It's where my family lives, and I've accepted full-time employment. I'm essentially just trying to fix my claim. So I've called the hotline. They tell me that that's the only issue is the address and the verification issue. He's told me that my case was with an examiner and that I'm just trying to figure out if I should be expecting the ID Me verification link, when I can expect the issue to be resolved. I also mentioned some of the information that I got from the town hall with the person I talked to, and he essentially told me not to believe everything that I read on Facebook. So your employee, didn't know that you guys are conducting these town halls. So again, my question is, if my case has been on hold for 15 weeks, am I expecting an ID verification link, or am I supposed to be hearing from the examiner, and when can I expect a resolution?
Hey, Annalise, if it is just an identity issue, like if your issues tab on your dashboard doesn't have anything else listed, then that is all you need is the identity link. When we're working with the ID.me company to get out all the emails to everyone who needs one and, have everything resolved, they have a schedule that we have to abide by. So within the next few weeks, we'll have gone through all of our backlog of everyone who needs one. So you should be receiving it. Let's see, it's the end of October now. So you should probably be receiving it within the next 3 weeks or so. We'll probably have a few straggling in after that. And then, of course, we're also, using it for all of our incoming claims, which is very low right now. But so you should be receiving it fairly soon. And once you do, remember to use the link from your dashboard because, I don't know exactly what the employee was alluding to, but as the secretary mentioned in his opening remarks, there's some links out there where fraudsters are trying to spoof people into giving their personal information to them. So be cautious of any link, don't use any link that you're getting from another source. It's better if you use the one from your dashboard because it's your dashboard, it's where you file your claims, it's a safe place to click on a link. So that'll be coming soon. We are getting through, there's only certain days where we can send them, and there's certain amounts. Right now we're capped at 25,000 I shouldn't say a day because we don't send them every day, but 25,000 a time. That's 2 to 3 times a week. So you should be receiving it soon. We're getting everyone through there as quickly as possible. And then once you go through ID.me, as long as there's no other issue on your claim, then everything should resolve itself automatically. And as long as you've been filing for your weeks, everything, all the weeks that are being held will be paid and you'll be able to receive your payments.
All right, we're joined now by Josephine. Welcome to the call, Josephine. Thank you for your patience. What is your question?
Yes. My question is, I did apply April 4th of this year for unemployment, and I've applied every week for my benefits, but I haven't received anything from Pennsylvania. So New Jersey, because I work both in Philadelphia and New Jersey. So New Jersey started paying me as of July 25th when they got my claim. So they want me to call Pennsylvania to pay me from April 4th up to now. But every time I call, they tell me I'm inactive. So I don't know, what is the problem.
Hi, Josephine. So if you're getting the message that your claim is inactive, that probably just means that it won't let you file for weeks on your own, that you would have to, get a hold of a staff member to do the backdating for you. So since you have a Pennsylvania claim and a New Jersey claim, I'm guessing, you had said you'd work in both places, so it's a combined wage claim. So it's some New Jersey wages, some Pennsylvania wages. And that's actually one of the only situation where someone can have a benefit year open in one state and then start a new benefit year in another state, which since you have back-to-back claims, that sounds like that's what's happening. So if you, if you need the back weeks and you haven't been able to file for the back weeks, there's a couple different ways you can get a hold of us. You could, of course, do the traditional, phone method. You can, chat with us online, or you can send an email and request the backdating. And we do have the information on our website about how to do that, pretty much telling us, which weeks you're looking for and why, just like a brief explanation as to why you haven't been able to claim those weeks. And then someone will be able to, approve the backdating and pay the weeks. Staff will probably just double check your eligibility. We do have individuals who get confused between the states. We have to be very careful that we're not paying anyone for the same weeks that another state paid them. So they'll probably just do a quick check to make sure everything is okay, and then be able to go ahead and pay your back weeks. So if you have, and I don't know if you have internet access or not, but if you do, the best way to get this accomplished is really just to send an email. If you send an email to UCHelp, that's UCHELP at pa.gov. Then we are sure to get it, and then you don't have to spend your time redialing the phone or anything like that. So if you just send, your information to uchelp@pa.gov and explain what it is you're looking for, that's probably the best way to get someone to be able to handle the backdating for you. And right now, actually, our email is going pretty well. For a very long time there, we're very behind on emails just because so many were coming in. But I think the oldest email we're working on now is in the latter part of August. So we're just a little over 2 months back and getting better every day. It's actually in very good shape now. So if you just drop us an email, that's the best way to make sure that someone gets your message and they can approve the backdating. If they have any other questions, they'll probably call, reach out to you and ask their questions and get whatever details they need.
Next, we've got Jim on the line with us. Jim, welcome to the call. Go ahead with your question, sir.
Yes, I've been filing since March, and I know it's supposed to be a bi-weekly system, but it's always let me file every week for some reason. And this week, when I went to file, it says I can't file. I have to wait till Sunday. Now, this may seem like a minor thing, but I've had a few problems in the past that were very difficult to straighten out technically over the months with unemployment. Is this a new policy, or should I be concerned? It just seems sort of odd, and I hate to say anything that seems odd in the system. Usually, has in the past has shown there's going to be a future problem. So.
Hi, Jim. That is a great question. I'm very glad you asked that because we had a lot of feedback on Monday, since Sunday is filing day, from individuals confused over that. And actually, it's the, I don't know how I want to say this, the flip-flop of a problem. It means you've actually been straightened out now and that you are filing on your claim as you should be. And the past few months, it was actually messed up. And this is what I mean by that. Most people, so we had a few people send us their information so we could actually look at the claim. And what was happening was there was two claims, generally one that was ineligible. Maybe they filed at some point and it was financially ineligible or, whatever reason. And then the next quarter change, they filed a claim that was eligible. So the eligible one, it wasn't causing any problems for any individuals. They were still being able to file every 2 weeks on the good valid claim. But then they were also going in every other week and filing for the ineligible claim, which really wasn't, it didn't hurt anything, but it was just kind of a waste, because our system is definitely a biweekly filing system. There's nothing in the regular system. Now, keep in mind, everyone, PUA is separate, so that is a weekly filing. And extended benefits is also kind of separate. It's weekly filing. It allows up to 4 weeks. But when it comes to the traditional UC and traditional PEUC, it is definitely a biweekly filing system. And at the beginning of the pandemic, because it was so hard for people to reach us and get help, we purposely manipulated the system to let more weeks be filed than just 2. So, if you missed a week and you needed to file 3, you could file 3. You could file 4, you could file 5. At one point, we were up to, I think the highest point was 11 weeks, 11 or 12 weeks you could go back and you could file. But when you're dealing with a 40-plus-year-old mainframe system, it kind of does its own thing sometimes. So this is how we found, it wasn't just making weeks available that were older that you may need to file. It was making weeks available on other claims of yours. So that's what was going on. And it never really got resolved. What happened was a lot of people were simply reaching the end of the period of one of the bad claim. The claim was expiring. And so when they went to, in recent weeks, so when they went to go file on the, day that they thought they would normally file, it was really the week of the bad claim. And the bad claim is done, and so it wasn't letting you file. Now, our system is smart enough to know when someone's early on a claim to be filing, and it will tell you, and it will say, you're early, you need to come back and file on such and such a date. So that's always been in our system, and now people are getting that message because they're not filing on 2 claims anymore, which, most people had no idea they were filing on 2 claims. It's just the one claim that you really need to file on. Again, it didn't really hurt anything. It probably put some weeks in pending. If it's an ineligible claim, which is generally the case, actually I haven't seen any that are eligible, so it really is an ineligible claim. It's not like it was making payments or anything like that. It was just more weeks being filed for staff have to go in. They'll see that there's nothing there, and then they'll cancel the weeks. It's a product of us, going into the system. This is why we don't like to touch the old system if we don't have to, but of course we had to, just because it is so old and you can do different things with it and it affects something else happening. So everyone who was kind of surprised this weekend, what's going on, you're actually straightened out now. You're on the one claim you should be on, and it is biweekly filing, and you will get that message if you are too early. So just mark it on your calendar, and you'll know to go in every other week until that claim is done. And then as long as we're still in the PEUC period, you'll move on to PEUC after that.
All right, we've got Carol joining us now. Carol, welcome to the call. What is your question?
Hello. Yes, I'm on PUA, and my original claim was filed in March and was supposed to end in December. And I was only on it for 16 weeks. My benefits are now exhausted because somehow I was overpaid. And I filed an appeal September 17th, and it's still in limbo. I've heard nothing. I can't get through to anybody. And I was wondering how I could at least be eligible for the 600 and the 300 that I missed out on. But I'm wondering if there's any way that they can redetermine. I'm on a monetary determination is what it is. And if there's any way that they can straighten this out to where I'm back on my original claim. I've claimed all the way up to, or filed the weekly certificates all the way up till September. But then, like I said, I was only eligible for 16 weeks, and then they knocked me off.
Hi, Carol. That situation sounds like a monetary eligibility redetermination. So what the circumstance where that happens is if staff were reviewing your claim and there wasn't enough proof of wages in order to keep the higher weekly benefit amount that you had previously had. So it's actually not too late. You don't have to file an appeal on the PUA program. Throughout the entire disaster period, which goes through the end of December, wages can still be adjusted without an appeal. So that's very different from our regular UC program. You do have to file a monetary appeal, but no, when it comes to PUA and disaster unemployment generally, you have throughout the disaster period to make adjustments. So if they had adjusted you down because they didn't have what they needed, then you just need to provide the proof. I know a lot of times where this is happening is where individuals weren't able to provide, self-employed individuals weren't able to provide proof of their net earnings. So a lot of people may have had gross earnings proof, but not net earnings. And we have, our federal guidelines and directions tell us we can't use gross. We have to look at net. So if there's no proof there to show net, we would have to lower you to the lower weekly benefit amount. So that's all you would have to do is just, look, through your records and anything showing. Remember, we're looking at calendar year 2019. So whatever you have, any type of proof, receipts or, receipts of things you've purchased, receipts of services that you've provided, whatever you have, if you don't have like one collected spot of all that stuff, just take your information and provide it to us. And if we can discern what your, net quarterly wages were throughout 2019, we can raise the weekly benefit amount back up. And then that, again, adjusts your maximum benefit amount. If you heard what I was saying about 30 minutes ago, the system, it's really your benefit entitlement, your maximum amount is 39 times whatever your weekly benefit amount is. So if your weekly benefit amount got changed from, $500 a week to $195 a week, That's why your claim was so short, because you've already exceeded your maximum benefit amount and you're done. So if you just provide proof that your weekly benefit amount should be higher, that's going to resolve that so that you can then have a higher maximum benefit amount and you'll have more weeks available to you.
So looking at the clock right now, it looks like we have time for one more question. We've got Lori joining us on the phone. Lori, welcome to the call. Go ahead with your question, please.
Yes, hi, thank you. I was laid off due to COVID in April, job eliminations in our firm. And it says that my claim is good until April 2021, but I just received a letter saying that the funds, if I keep claiming for the full amount, which of course I need to do, will be exhausted in 3 weeks, and no other explanation was given, and I can't get through. So I'm just wondering what is going on, why that is.
Sure. The letter that you received are actually standard letters that always go out. There's two letters. They're called the UC 528 and the UC 529 because all of our forms are numbered. So if you look in the bottom left-hand corner, it'll say UC 528 or 529. And the purpose of them is to warn people when their claim is almost over so that they have some sort of heads up. Of course, in the beginning of the claim, we send the financial determination that explains how much money you have, how many weeks you have, et cetera. But it still helps to give people that little reminder saying, hey, you're almost out of money. So that's a standard one that goes out all the time, year-round, that, not specific to the pandemic. And so that's just telling you that you're almost out of money. Keep in mind that regular unemployment claims, they exist for a year. They're technically there for a year, but the maximum amount of benefits you're going to get is 26 weeks. So if you go back and look at your monetary determination, it probably says you qualify for 26 weeks of benefits. So the benefits don't last if you draw them out, in full every week, you're not working part-time or anything like that, then you run out of benefits in half a year, not a full year. So that's what the warning letter is. Now, of course, right now, we're in the period of time where the CARES Act programs are still active. So your regular UC claim is running out of money, but you're just simply going to roll onto a PEUC claim. You'll receive a financial determination in the mail that says, here's your PEUC claim. If you look with the 528 or 529 letter that you received, it should have had a insert with it called an EUC-8. That's a application for PEUC. In your instance, you're probably not going to be applying because I believe your benefit year is active from what you're describing. And it describes it on the form, the EUC-8. It says, you only apply if your benefit year ended. It gives those specific instructions, and those instructions are available generally on our website as well. So you'll just roll on to PEUC, which is a 13-week benefit. Of course, it ends, all the CARES Act programs end on December 26th. So that will be the last payable week of PEUC. And then in Pennsylvania, we still have extended benefits active. So there's a potential of 13 weeks of extended benefits after that. That does not end in December. That will keep going until the unemployment rate is low enough. So even once you run out of PEUC benefits, even if you don't get to use all 13 weeks, there is then the possibility of extended benefits afterward. And so you'll roll right onto that as well. And then, once that is done, then there are no other programs available at this time until you qualify for a new UC claim.
So we're coming to the end of our live event today. Thanks, everyone, for participating in this L&I Town Hall. We appreciate the opportunity to speak directly with you and answer your questions. We turn now for closing comments from Secretary Oleksiak.
Thank you, Dirk, and thank you, Susan, and thank you to those of you who have participated today. We hope you find these town halls helpful. Thank you.
So to keep up with Pennsylvania labor and industry updates, please visit www.uc.pa.gov. And if we're unable to address your question, please send an email to uchelp@pa.gov. pennsylvania.gov. Thank you again to everyone for taking the time to participate in this call. We hope you stay healthy and safe and have a fantastic day.